Okay, we will wrap up today's deadline room availability with 7-time champion driver of the number 48 Ally Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports, and that's Jimmie Johnson. Jimmie, you are the all-time wins leader among active drivers at this track with 5. No, it's a vastly different package. What do you need to do to get number 6?
Yeah, I think to a certain degree, focusing on the balance of the car and the drivability of the car is still going to prevail here. This track is unlike any other track, as we all know, with the surface, the bumps, and just the character this track has. So and that's been my focus with the few race runs that I made in that opening practice session to get drivability right, and then make kind of speed a secondary item. We'll see how it all plays out. This package is so new to all of us. Some are clearly trimmed out more and more worried about single car speed than others, and we'll just see how this all plays out over this weekend and honestly probably the next 2 or 3 weekends until we can really get our arms around what we need for qualifying and then also for the race.
Thank you, Jimmie. We'll take some questions. We'll start in the middle with Jacob. If you have a question, please raise your hand and we'll get a mic to you.
Jacob Zielman, Speed Sport Magazine. Harvick was in here a couple of minutes ago and said something I feel like you've probably heard a few times, but was really talking about your career and you being one of the underappreciated great drivers of the sport. What does that mean to you when you hear even some of your fellow peers recognizing what you've already done? And I know you're still adding to it, but just to see others within the garage area say that about you.
Yeah, wow, that's I certainly appreciate those kind words from Kevin, and I'm not sure the context of the question and really the length of his answer and what it was all about, but we've had a great run. I've accomplished a lot of great things, more than I really ever imagined that I would. But I feel like every driver has something that they probably deserve and something they don't deserve along their way, of progressing through sports or through the sport. And I've had my good and my bad, and it is what it is. And honestly, I've quit paying attention to a lot of the public opinion stuff years ago. It doesn't do me any good. I'm just going to keep my head down and keep working. So some weekends, I think things go your way and you get the praises that you would hope to, and other weekends it doesn't, and it's just kind of the evolution of the sport.
Go to Dustin and then Alan.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Jimmie, can you give a sense of perspective on the restarts at this track, the differences between the inside and outer lane, the advantage? Obviously, it certainly seems like the inside lane has a significant advantage. How do you view that from the cockpit, and might this rules package, how might that impact or alter whatever lane has dominance, or how much dominance one lane has over the other?
Yeah, I do feel that some tracks, the racing groove either helps or hurts the grip that you have when you first hit the gas and take off in the restart zone. But I really feel like this package is going to be different than what we've seen in the past. You don't have as much power to spin the tires. I feel that, like in a restrictor plate race, who is behind you and the type of push they can give you is going to make a big difference in how things turn out for you down the backstretch. So I feel like the leader will probably make decisions based on who they think is a good pusher. There might be tracks where the shorter distance will prevail. I'm not sure if this is one, but I would think maybe California, Michigan, tracks like that the shorter distance would probably be better for the lower horsepower. But from a mindset, at least where I sit now, I'm thinking more like plate racing. Depends on the push than it really does the launch.
Well, Mark, then Alan.
One other thing, I'm sorry. Kevin Harvick mentioned that he had talked about, or mentioned, previously about putting some kind of traction compound on the straightaway to kind of even out the lanes. Obviously, it was never done. Is that something that still could be something to be looked at, or down the road, depending on how this package works with these lanes at different tracks?
Yeah, I don't see anything negative with it. I mean, you're not going to hurt tires. It just depends on your opinion of what makes a good race. I think you get into the discussion of lane choice and earning that right to pick. I personally lean more towards the choose option that we've talked about a lot as well, and let drivers choose which lane they want to start in. Obviously, first, gets to pick, and you go right on down through wherever you want to line up. I think that's a pretty fair way to go about things. And we'll just have to see. But I do feel like that restart zone is changed, and we should maybe give it a few weeks just to see how this draft works and what really happens.
Mark Vanelli.
Mark Arrow, PRN here in the back. Jimmie, you talked about, we got to get through a race, so you got, and just see how all this works out. How far down the road do you think we need to get? 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 races before everybody has a real true picture of what this is all about, and how patient do you think we in the media, fans, everybody's got to be to okay, let's just let this thing play out a little bit before we see whether it's doing what it's planned to do? Yeah,
of course, I think patience are going to be key in general. I know none of us really were raised in this industry to have patience, even our fan base for that matter. But I think, honestly, this is probably one of the more challenging tracks for this rules package. I think California is going to be really challenging for this rules package. When you have a lot of tire fall off and the lower horsepower, I think that will just going to be tougher. It'll be more difficult to race and to get things sorted out. I think when we go to a track like Las Vegas, it's going to put on a heck of a show. Just in the test session with 13 cars, I was 4 wide multiple times in those little small races that they had. So I think we'll have a good flavor of things here in the first 5 races. Obviously, we'll go to Phoenix and have last year's package back, in a sense, with having full power. So I think these first 5 weeks we'll get a real good indication of things.
Go Alan, then Jenna.
Hello, Alan Cavana, Fox
There
Sports. 2 quick ones. Appears you're training for a marathon. Well, why do you enjoy that challenge? And is that injury you had, does that affect you in the race car at all?
No, nothing is bothering me in the car. I have an IT band issue that's probably about, a few weeks old of just being tight and sore. As I'm getting ready for the Boston Marathon and run that on April 15th. So as the volume's gone up and the achy spots have developed, my legs, I've got a little thing going on with my knee, but it seems to be doing a lot better. I ran 10 today pain-free, which was great. So I think I've got the right treatment going on.
And another challenge, you're making your television debut tomorrow. What kind of preparation, you prepare for a lot of things. What kind of preparation goes into that for you?
Yeah, we've been kicking around ideas from different segments, different things that I'd like to add to the broadcast. But at the same time, with Adam Alexander and Kevin Harvick in the booth, they're both fantastic at what they do. When I first try up, they're just going to try to fit in and go with the flow and just see how it goes. But I do know all those folks on the television side, from producers and directors and talent themselves. So I feel very comfortable and know that it's going to be a fun environment. And I look forward to hopefully calling it tomorrow. Hopefully the weather stays away.
Jenna.
Hey, Jimmie, you, back here. You finished 8th last week with about half of a car. I'm wondering how you think your debut with Kevin went and how you would rate sort of that whole first week.
Yeah, I thought it went really well, obviously, to get the win in the Clash. That was a nice confidence boost. The fast cars in general helped. But the 500 itself and all the challenges thrown at Kevin and the crew, there was no better way to test where we're at as a group than to go through that. Looking back, there are a couple things that we needed to kind of tighten up on and get better. But my guys are eager and ready to go, and we had a good week of learning and kind of conversation on how to handle some of those situations a little bit better. But we were put under the gun with multiple attempts at fixing the car under that 6-minute window and got it done. So I think the guys did really good, especially Kevin leading them.
Any further questions for Jimmie? Claire here on the left.
I got my USA Today in the hotel this morning and opened it up, and there you were in your helmet about the size of a house, right? Is this more of what we're going to be seeing from your sponsor? And I think that the line was, "This is just the beginning." Can you comment on that?
Yeah, really. We've talked about it through the announcement last year, and then through the off season, just how engaged Ally is going to be and how excited they are to use NASCAR as a marketing platform for them, and the association with the 48 car. And I think that's just one, just another example of how much they're going to use NASCAR in our industry to promote, and it's great to see that.
Any other questions? Okay, Jimmy, thank you so much. Oh, we got one more, do we? Oh, sorry, Jeff.
All right. I've been asking everybody. I'm getting mixed signals here on what's going to happen in qualifying. Like Harvick and Hamlin said, maybe not. There's going to be a team draft in qualifying. David Reagan says they're lying, and that everybody's talked about it. So, what do you think is going to happen with qualifying today?
There was only 2 cars that I'm aware of that really set up that team draft situation, and it didn't seem to yield a faster time. So I don't know. I definitely know at Vegas there'll be group drafting, and you're going to try to time that right. But the tracks with higher tire wear, we're just going to have to see and see how it goes. I'm leaning towards not, especially later in rounds when the tires have more laps on them and when it matters. But we're just going to have to see.
Mark Garrow, PRN again. Jimmy, you mentioned a little while ago about being 4 wide during the test at Las Vegas. What kind of challenges will that bring during the race, and how chaotic is that going to be?
Yeah, it's a different type of racing to be in that pack on a 1.5-mile track. Track position, I don't know how important that's going to be when you can pass as easily as we seem to be able to do it in Vegas. Passing the leader was a bit tricky, but it's kind of a revolving door from second on back to 13th out of the 13 cars we had there. So still a lot to learn. You're going to have to be comfortable in the draft and racing 2 and 3 wide. I think spotters are going to get a big workout and kind of be in that restrictor plate mindset 2/3 of the season now.
Any final questions? Raise your hand high. All right, Jimmy, good luck on Sunday. Thank you.